welcome to Fox Valley Today. I'm your host, Anne Vickery. Joining me today from the Oswego Senior Center in Oswego, Illinois, is Sandy Pastore, who is the Executive Director. Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning, Anne.
We were kind of nip and tuck here getting in the door this morning.
We were. I'm like, catch my breath.
Yeah, well, nobody's huffing and puffing. We always think that's a good thing for the show when nobody comes in here and collapses. So anyway, how was the whole Thanksgiving thing? I know you did a little extra turkey dinner over there, and you had and your masquerade ball. Tell us about that.
So our masquerade ball was great. It was so much fun. So we're going to do it again next year. So we'll have another gala next year. And it was, we had a jazz band, and then we had the Yorkville High School Madrigals perform during dinner. And then we had Deja Vu was our live band, and I don't know, all my friends are all married now, so there's no weddings that I get to go dance at anymore, so I had a lot of fun.
So did people actually come in? I mean, it was kind of a formal occasion.
It was.
People came with their little mask.
And we had masks there, too. People didn't
it was kind of funny, because I was at Walmart. I'm not necessarily trying, but I'm just saying where it was. And I couldn't get to your gala, but I noticed that they had a lot of those masks that you could just hold up with a little stick and kind of be coy.
It was very fun.
How many people came out?
We had about 85 people.
That's a nice crowd.
Yeah, so we're hoping for more next year. And as people talk about it, it was a lot of fun. As people said, sometimes I have to go to these events and it's just like, but I had a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Tell me about the Yorkville Madrigals. How was that?
That was really good. I didn't grow up with, in my high school we didn't have that, so I wasn't really sure what it was. And it was really, it's like a Renaissance type of thing, and they sang and they did it was great. They went around the room and just entertained us.
And you had two different live bands.
Two different live bands. So it was Hi-Hats on the Side, which is a jazz band down of Yorkville High School, and is one of my co-workers' sons is in that band.
So it was a high school group.
So it was a high school group, and they are really good.
Very good.
Very good. So they play around town here, so if you see them in the paper, go see them. They're really good.
Okay. And then you had another live band, too?
Yeah, Deja Vu.
Okay.
Which is like a local band that, does different events and things like that. So, and they were really good.
And they were good.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice. And your food was good?
The food was great. We were at Whitetail Ridge.
And what a beautiful setting Whitetail is.
Yeah.
We were out there for brunch Sunday morning, and for $12. And just to enjoy the view was worth the $12.
Yeah.
The food was fine.
What a great staff over there. And so we really, thank you to all of our sponsors, and thank you to everyone that came out and supported the Senior Center, and people that couldn't come out that still, sent us money towards the gala. That was really nice. So
yes.
Thank you.
That's great. That's great. And again, you can't do it without people kind of picking up the end there and sending in a check for whether it's $25 or $50 or $100. It all helps.
It does. And today is Giving Tuesday.
I understand that.
Yeah. So. Oswego Senior Center is a 501c3 not-for-profit, and we would love your donation on Giving Tuesday. That would be a really nice thing, and all year long.
Yeah. Well, but I think this gives people that, that kind of raises the awareness of, hey, if I could do something a little bit extra, this is the day to do it.
Yeah, and we have on our website, you just go to the little PayPal symbol there, you can pay right through PayPal, make a donation. So
I've never quite figured out PayPal. It's just one less thing I deal with. And I write very few checks, but when I do make a donation, I do it in check. That way I always have my little check receipt anyway, or at least a copy of my check. So tell me, what else would you like to talk about as far as what has happened before we go on to what's going on?
We've started our new Wednesday World Bistro, so we had added that new lunch day, so now we're Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for lunch, and that's going really well.
And that's more of a soup and salad, or no?
No, it's international fairs and regional fairs is what we're concentrating on for the Wednesday World Bistro, and so we're going through all the different cultures and ethnic kind of groups, and then also regional American types of things. So this week is buttered chicken, so we're celebrating India.
Okay.
This week, and then I know I'm trying to think what's coming up later this month. I know we have a traditional Jewish food day and all kinds of.
Well, I should come to that. I'm going to Israel, so that would that would help. I'd like to figure out what they eat over there besides chickpeas. Hummus.
Hummus,
yeah.
falafel.
They do. Yeah. What is a falafel?
Falafel is chickpeas, ground chickpeas.
And what do they do with it?
And they bind it and they fry it in balls, and then they put it in like a pita, or you eat it with hummus. And, the different tabbouleh or whatever.
Okay. Well, tell me, what day is that?
That's at the end of December.
Okay. Well, you know what? Remind me on that, because I think I would like to come up to that.
Yeah.
So, what do you got getting ready for Christmas?
Well, we just had our craft fair too the weekend before Thanksgiving. So we kind of did our holiday art and craft fair. We had over 65 vendors selling their unique goods that were all handmade.
And how did that go?
It went really well. I personally got I found a lot of cool stuff.
Did you?
So I always do. There's so many great artisans out there that make really just unique and very cool things. So,
right.
So I got some.
Okay.
Yeah.
And but you had a lot of people come out.
We had a lot of people come out, and even though it was like the one rainy day, real rainy day.
Yes, it was.
But it wasn't snowing, it wasn't sleeting, so
Yeah, and a lot of the vendors know enough during those types. They bring plenty of plastic bags for people to carry their goods out in.
Right.
So, what about the next couple of weeks?
What's coming
up? Are you working up to?
Well, on this Friday, we have our international cooking class, and we're going to be making tamales and a roasted salsa and a salsa verde.
Okay, and this is a Mexican
so that's
cuisine.
Mexico. And then we also are having our healthy habits for successful living, and we're doing rebooting with nutrition. So Laura Barr from the University of Illinois Extension will come in.
Laura was just here a week or two ago. She's the best.
She's really good, and she made a presentation the other month at the Senior Center, and it's really stuck with me. She just was talking to the seniors at lunch, and she's like, it's not a Coke a day, it's an apple a day. And every time I put my straw in a soda now, it echoes in my mind. I'm like, Laura.
Yeah, she does have a way of making you kind of think about it a little bit more. But and she always talks about different ways to substitute certain things in recipes, that make a difference. One of the things she talked about was, rather than putting those marshmallows on top of sweet potatoes, use high calcium orange juice with a little bit of brown sugar, bake them like that, and she said the glaze is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And she said you're cutting out 70% of the calories, because marshmallows are nothing but all sugar anyway.
Right.
I thought about that of doing it. I haven't quite worked my way up to doing it, but I am going to try it tonight.
Yeah, it's good. That's how I make mine.
Do you? And does it get real glazy, kind of thick?
Yeah, and you can even just cook the orange juice with the brown sugar prior, and then cook it with it on it.
Okay, I might do that too.
Yep.
Well, that sounds good. So Laura's going to talk about what?
Rebooting with nutrition.
Okay.
So looking at ways to maximize your energy and all that kind of stuff through looking at nutrition. Sometimes with when we get older, we kind of lose our motivation for cooking, and maybe if you're just cooking for yourself, it's not as exciting.
I don't know that I lose my motivation. It's that I get tired of always trying to think of something different to fix.
Yeah.
I grew up like most of your seniors on 3 squares a day. You know, I mean, that we didn't eat much in between. We didn't eat a lot of junk food. We weren't junk food kids. But you had breakfast, you had lunch, you had dinner, and it was always, dinner was always meat, potatoes, vegetable, and dessert. Lunch was a sandwich, or breakfast was pretty standard, like everybody does today, I think. But how do you for seniors, how do you try to come up with something that you're just not always overcooking?
Right, and that's why, and she has really great recipes. She has it, so it, prepares food for one or two people.
Yeah.
But also, thinking ahead, like, okay, I can freeze this, and then that's an easy, convenient food for myself that I know I prepared myself instead of having it maybe something with high sodium that a lot of the frozen meals have.
Yeah, and what is life without salt? But I don't salt my food. The only thing I salt when I'm cooking are my potatoes. Everything else is pretty just standard.
Right, and so if you're buying a lot of frozen prepared meals, that's not the case.
Yeah, that's right. They are very, very salty.
Yeah, so you really have to pay attention to that, and that affects your energy and all that kind of stuff. So it all works together, and so we're going to talk about how that works together. So rebooting with nutrition. So that's December 5th at 9 a.m. And then Tuesday, December 12th, will be our financial education series. We'll be talking about building investment income.
Are people, when you have those kinds of seminars, do you have a good turnout for that?
Yeah, we get anywhere between 6 and 15 people.
Okay. When you get to the point of you've worked a long time and you've retired, you would think that most people would have a financial plan in place.
You would think.
Yeah, but the other part of that is, and that's why I kind of like this, is, the world evolves and so do finances.
They do.
Perhaps you should, and I think the secret to being successful financially as a senior is to be constantly aware of what's going on in the world enough to know that you need to, every 6 months, go see your broker, your financial planner, and say, do I need to change this up? Do I need to take out some cash now?
And really being on the ball with that. And, this is the reason we have this financial education series, is because the financial tools of today and tomorrow are very, very different than what you grew up with.
Absolutely.
And what I grew up with even. What I learned in my 8th grade civics class is that's when we did our financial planning, right?
Right.
And that's when we did our stocks.
What were you going to do with your $2 a week allowance?
Right. I mean, things have changed drastically since then. So, being on the ball, really understanding those IRAs and those 401ks, what the required minimum distributions are, looking at that annually, and making sure that you're maybe taking that out in the beginning of the year should something happen to you in the end of the year, so that it doesn't affect your legacy even, thinking ahead like that, and just knowing and being really on the ball.
How many of your seniors let's just say out of the 100 seniors that kind of actively participate, how many do you think, percentage-wise, do you think are doing okay financially?
I would say that at least 40% in Oswego are doing okay, especially if they're married. So that's kind of a thing to think about is when men become widowed is one thing, but when women become widowed, that puts them in a different financial situation a lot of times.
Well, especially because some retirements, especially if it's a second marriage, do not fall over to the second wife where they would have with the first wife.
Right. And there's all these different things that you need to think about with pensions and Social Security and all those different kinds of things. So I would say, about 30-40% are really secure. Then we have a good 20%, 25% that are living in what I call undercover poverty, which is they have enough money not to be in poverty, to meet that 100% of poverty in which they would qualify for benefits like Medicaid or things like that. But they really don't have enough money to have a quality of life maybe that other seniors may have that don't have financial insecurities. Right.
Yeah, I really think that talking to people about that, and a lot of times you have seniors come in there, they're 55, 56, under 60 years old. People who still have a lot to give in the world. I mean, they can still pick up extra little jobs if they want to help supplement. But no, I think keeping that kind of financial planning on the front burner is an excellent idea.
Yeah, and really we want to talk to people that are not seniors yet. So
That's
what
right.
we say, the future aged, right? Because
Right.
we want everyone to age up and become a retired person at some point in their life. But we really want them, people my age and younger and older, to think about financial planning and really be prepared for what it costs to be a senior. Because the reality is you still have you have to pay for food, you have to pay for your house,
Right.
you have to pay for transportation, your car,
Taxes.
and you get to pay for Medicare and health insurance, which turns out is not free or cheap.
No.
So, with just a basic kind of Medicare, you're looking at anywhere from $200 to $400 a month. And, are you budgeting for that when you think about your financial future and thinking about, okay, so, between my Social Security and whatever pension or, RMDs I might be taking, I'm going to need this amount of money per year. Is what I'm saving now going to reach that?
Right.
And then working with your financial planner to really know your goals and be able to reach them. And people just, there's a lot of stress around that. And there's a lot of, sometimes you feel a lot of pressure when you go and see a financial planner that maybe you don't know very well. And then you end up thinking, okay, well, they know more than me, and so I'm just going to do what they say, and maybe it's not a great fit for you. And so having that education in order to be empowered to make good financial decisions is also important.
Well, I think you made a good point there, Sandy. People don't know what to do. And, sometimes financial planners have given the whole industry a bad name by the way that they have treated seniors by taking advantage of them. And I think probably the best thing that you can do is get a good recommendation from a successful senior. And what I mean by that is a senior that is working with somebody and maybe has more than you, but you could at least say to them, I don't have much, but if I could go to someone, who would I go to?
Right.
Someone you could really trust.
Right. And looking at, what kind of experience do they have? What's their background, the financial planner?
Right.
There's some out there that, I don't, they...
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Yeah, and you know what, most people, I think one of the last things seniors want to give up is their independence to handle their own money.
Right.
You don't want, and yet what you're doing when you go to a financial planner is you're turning your money over
You're trusting
to someone.
them.
Right.
You're trusting them to do, to help you grow. And they have an invested interest in that because they get some of your growth too, a percentage usually. And you got to ask those questions. What is your fee?
Right.
And don't be afraid to ask that because they're not a social worker. They're not going to do it for free.
No, and right. And that's, and that's important to remember. And, a lot of times when you go into there, you pay an upfront fee to get in, and that kind of stings you a little bit. But then that's it. You're not going to pay more after that.
And you got to ask what it is.
Right.
So what is that?
And a lot of people are afraid of the stock market, and I think that people should be a little bit afraid right now. Stock market is very high, but there's no money to be made in the banks. If you've got your money in the bank, you're going backwards.
Well, right.
You really are.
Yeah. So we'll be talking more about that. We have that every month. It's the second Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. We're talking about financial stuff. So even if what we're talking, our topic isn't what you want to hear about, come in and you can ask those questions. It's kind of like a free range type of, we talk about what our topic is going to be, but we also take questions.
Who do you have come in?
David Erickson, he's with the Edward Jones. He has an office in Oswego. And then Brian LeClaire, he's a independent financial planner. And then also Tom Rennick from Bridgeview Bank comes in sometimes as well. So it's nice to have like those three different viewpoints, one independent, one kind of a financial planning group, another one from more of a banking background, because they have different viewpoints and you should hear it.
Right. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Sandy, we got to take a little bit of a break because somebody's got to pay for this show.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it works. Okay, we're going to be right back with Sandy Pastore from the Oswego Senior Center. Stick with us. We got a lot more to talk about.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Your son wants to get a cat,
I'll really take care of it.
but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals 25.
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome back to Fox Valley Today. I'm here with Sandy Pastore from the Oswego Seniors. And Sandy, let's talk a little bit more about some of your upcoming events.
On Tuesday, December 12th, we'll also have the veterans over, the Veterans Assistance Commission. They're going to talk about death and burial benefits through the veterans.
That sounds good.
It's very exciting, but very important. You know, we see people all the time that are not taking advantage of their veterans benefits. You know, they served in wars, they were drafted, and I always say, you know, take advantage of what's out there, because they have no problem taking advantage of you.
Well,
So-
you know, my husband is a veteran, and I've different times have said to him, well, you know, maybe you could. No, if I can afford to pay for it, I'm not going to take from other guys that need it. You know, I think a lot of guys have a little bit of pride like that.
Yeah, maybe it's that, but it's also something that you earned.
Well,
You know what I mean? And yes, and they'll tell you if you qualify or not.
Yeah.
And you might as,
maybe we wouldn't qualify. I don't know.
and there's different things for different
Right.
reasons. So
Yeah, and I think that death benefit is available to everybody.
I am not sure.
Yeah, but I
so-
think that's just a given.
But Olivia will let us know on December 12th.
Okay.
All about it.
She's the best, isn't she?
I really like
Oh yeah,
her.
that whole crew over there at the Veterans Administration there in Kendall County, Chad and Donovan and Olivia, they're the best.
Yeah, and you know, Kendall County, I was doing the stats a few months
Right.
ago, and just looking at different demographics within our county and other counties. And Kendall County has one of the highest percentages of age 60 plus veterans. So we're almost at 20%. I think it was like 19.6% or something.
And I think a lot of that came. A lot of that came through the Vietnam era.
It did.
Most of the, so many of the World War II guys are gone, and there's a few Korean veterans left. But, I went to a small high school, and I think there were 42 of us, 16 being girls, And I think out of my class, 15 of those young men were drafted right off the get-go. They either knew they were going to be drafted or they enlisted because
Right.
they knew they were going to go.
You enlisted
And
what
that
you
was
want.
that was a huge amount.
That is huge.
And I think out of the whole 30 guys that we went to school with, 25 to 30, I think probably, I think 25 of them ended up. I think there's only 5 of them that didn't go.
Yeah. So, and the VA offers health benefits, and you can get hearing aids and things like that
Right.
from the VA. So it's really important to get connected with things that you deserve because you served it. You served our country, and this is a way for us to help you
I
have
have
a good
question.
quality of life.
When you talked about hearing aids, have you heard anything about Walgreens coming up with a hearing aid thing Walgreens bought this company, and now that these $3,000-$4,000 hearing aids, something that is going to be much less expensive is going to be available.
I heard like whispers of that, but I don't know any concrete
Okay, well, I'm going to check into that because I think that's important.
Yeah, that would be great. Let me know.
Yeah, I will.
We also started a new series. It's called Grands Raising Grands. So it's grandparents raising grandchildren. So we're actually going to meet today at 10 o'clock and talk about anxiety and depression. Fun for all ages.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, let's face it. If you're 78 years old and you're raising a 10-year-old, it's gonna be tough.
Well, there's a lot of generational challenges. The values of one generation versus the values of maybe today's youth, which are, have some differences.
Some big bridges.
There's some bridges there that need to be formed and understandings of, but of why are these values different? And then if you start with the education and the understanding, then I think you develop a pathway to resolutions.
Who's going to give that seminar?
Me.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Love talking about
And
anxiety and depression.
how do you talk about that?
So we talk about it and looking at, what are the symptoms of anxiety? What are symptoms of depression? And a lot of times they really resemble each other. It's being irritable or angry or moody. All those types of things can be a part of anxiety and depression.
Right.
So, and just talking about, what are the social things going on? What are environmental things? Is it a biochemical type of thing? And then what are some of those solutions to helping resolve those symptoms? And some of the treatment options, of course, include therapy. Like cognitive behavioral therapy is really great for helping with anxiety and depression.
And how would you just give me an example?
So cognitive behavioral therapy is looking at how, so there's a situation and then that provokes a thought, and then that thought provokes a behavior, which provokes an action, right?
All right.
So if you can see how the situation is transitioning into a thought and then be more conscious of it and say, okay, I see how this is affecting me. I can either go one way or I can go another. And then being able to be more conscious in that and how you process that and how it translates then to action and behavior.
Yeah, I think, and I think, as people age out, I think depression and anxiety is a very, very big issue. Frustration starts.
Yeah, so, it could be something that you feel within yourself, that maybe you are losing some resilience maybe that you used to have, or maybe you're losing some type of motivation or whatever it might be. So, it's just really important to think about. It's not normal part of aging, so if it's happening, reach out and get some help. Come talk to a social worker, talk to Oswego Senior Center, Senior Services, Health Department. We're all here to help.
Okay. Sandy, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for joining Fox Valley today. We'll see you next time.